There are many deities in Elden Ring. Many of them happens to be powerful beings like Queen Marika the Eternal, Melania Goddess of Rot, the Elden Beast, and Mikola. But there are even more powerful deities known as Outer Gods. The Outer Gods are mysterious powerful beings that gets mentioned in the lore, and most of them seem to not possess a physical form. Some characters that I've just mentioned are tied to certain Outer Gods. Now in this video I'm going to go over each Outer God and rank them based on power and influence. Now I wanted to rank them solely off of strength, but since most of them are more known for their influence rather than physical strength, I'm just going to rank them based off that instead. I'm still going to talk about their actual powers though. But without wasting any more of your time, let's get right into the video. Before diving into the actual ranking, let's discuss some beings or entities that, while not confirmed as Outer Gods, are heavily speculated to be connected to one. Let's start with the Abyssal Serpent. Mesmer's remembrance reads, "A malevolent snake writhed within Mesmer, and so his mother plucked out his eye and put in place a seal of grace. Yet having done so, her fear compelled her to secret away her child with the realm of shadow, hidden away keeping company with the original sin and a hatred that would not be confined." Because of this, we know that it could just be a regular curse that Mesmer is inflicted with. I'm not sure, but due to the lack of info, I'm just gonna put it here for now. But if you were to ask me about its powers, well, in terms of influence, it's pretty much only affected one person, a powerful person at that, but other than Mesmer, there's no one else. And the powers of the serpent doesn't seem to be as insane compared to, the frenzied flame or the scarlet rot. So again, I'm just gonna leave it here. Speaking of unconfirmed outer gods, some people believe that there is an outer god of the moon, and me personally, I don't think so. Mostly because one, I don't think Ronnie would align herself with another outer god, as her whole thing was removing the influence of them, allowing people to guide themselves. However, I do think that the moon itself is somewhat living, but maybe not as an outer god. Now let's get to the actual ranking, and first we have the Deathbird Outer God, or the Twin Bird. This is another Outer God we know very little about. The Twin Bird Kite Shield states that the Twin Bird is an envoy, suggesting it serves as a messenger or representative of an Outer God, which means there's an Outer God of Death out there. But that's the only hint to a Deathbird Outer God. We don't know any of its feats, whether or not it's connected to Destined Death, or Godwin the Prince of Death. Nothing. The Deathbirds are able to inflict death blight with their scream, so maybe that's a hint to something. The only way we can know what its powers are like are through the actual Deathbirds and the Ghost Flame Dragons, and to be honest, I don't think they're a good representation of its full powers. In terms of influence, again, we barely see anyone uses its powers apart from certain creatures, but that may be because its powers are ancient. However, I'm gonna rank it low due to a lack of info and influence. Next up, we have the Formless Mother. The Formless Mother is the blood god in Elden Ring associated with cursed blood and a craving for wounds. She grants powers to those connected to a cursed blood, with Mohg being her most notable servant. Mohg was born an omen, cursed with tainted blood, which made him an ideal follower for her. While we don't know the full extent of the Formless Mother's strength, her powers are clearly tied to blood and its destructive potential. Some extents of her powers are most evident through Mohg's actions and abilities. The Blood Boon ritual, for instance, involves piercing the body of the Formless Mother with Mohgwyn's spear, allowing him to channel her blood for offensive attacks. The power manifests in explosive bursts and fiery blood that burns whatever it touches. Additionally, Mohg's use of portals may also be connected to the Formless Mother. These portals seem to serve two purposes, as a means of transport and as a source of blood attacks. The blood Mohg hurls during combat originates from the other side of these portals, potentially from the Formless Mother's domain. Though her powers appear significant, the Formless Mother's influence seems limited in scope. Her ultimate goal may not be to conquer or destroy, but rather to receive wounds, suggesting she thrives off pain and suffering. Which kinda means she's a masochist? I don't know. Given her relatively small scale impact, her strength seems less imposing compared to the other deities in Elden Ring. The Fell God is a mysterious supposed outer god tied to the fire giants. It is believed to live within the last remaining fire giant, making it both a part of the giant and a separate entity. The one-eyed shield modeled after the Fell God suggests that this being is, well, one-eyed. No shit. Which lines up with what happens in a fire giant boss fight. During the second phase, after the giant sacrifices its legs, an eye opens up on its stomach, hinting at the presence of two beings sharing one body. The Fell God is known for its connection to fire and its role in empowering the giants, especially during their war against the Golden Order. While its influence wasn't as widespread as some of the other outer gods, it seemed like its very own physical strength made it a powerful force. as it's said that Queen Marika herself had to intervene and she slain the fell god. However, slain may not be the right word to describe its fate, as the deity appears to still be alive, residing inside the body of the last fire giant. While the fell god may not have had the same level of influence as some of the other outer deities, its strength and potential threat were significant enough to warrant Marika's personal attention. This shows that even if its influence was limited, its power made it a danger that couldn't be ignored. Despite its unclear full potential, the fell god's role in the giant's history solidifies its place as a key figure among the outer gods. The outer god of Rot is another mysterious and malevolent force in Elden Ring, embodying the devastating power of Scarlet Rot. Scarlet Rot is a deadly and highly contagious affliction that causes decay, transformation, and destruction wherever it takes hold. While the outer god of Rot is less prominent than some of its counterparts, its legacy is deeply tied to key figures like Malenia and Millicent, as well as afflicted regions it has left in its wake. This outer god was defeated long ago by a swordsman who is implied to have been Malenia's mentor. The idea that a mortal could take down an outer god might make this one seem weaker compared to others. However, it's worth noting that the Tarnished defeated the Elden Beast, a vessel of the Greater Will, suggesting that even deities can have weaker manifestations. It's possible that this version of the outer god of Rot that was defeated was not the full entity but rather its vessel. However, the Scorpion Stinger Dagger states, "Dagger fashioned from a great scorpion tail, glistening with scarlet rot, this tool was used by heretics crafted from a relic of a sealed outer god." This suggests that the outer god itself was sealed, which means that this deity is not that physically strong. Side note, this also reveals that some outer gods have physical forms, just like how the Formless Mother can be pierced with Mogwin's spear. In terms of influence, the outer god of Rot has left an undeniable mark on the world. It cursed Malenia with Scarlet Rot, granting her incredible powers and transforming her into the goddess of Rot. It also shaped entire regions with its presence. The Scarlet Rot is highly contagious, extremely deadly, and capable of terraforming landscapes while mutating those exposed to it. New life forms like the centipede creatures and butterflies were even born from the Rot. While its powers are terrifying and widespread, the fact that it was sealed by a mortal swordsman diminishes its status amongst the other outer gods. Despite its deadly influence, this defeat lowers its rank compared to the other deities. But again, due to its influence and destructive capabilities, I'm still gonna place it here. The Frenzied Flame is one of the most dangerous and powerful outer gods in Elden Ring. You see, what makes the Frenzied Flame so dangerous is that it doesn't focus on creating order or balance. Instead, it seeks to destroy everything and reset the world into a state of nothingness. Its overwhelming ambition to erase all existence and its ability to control and corrupt those who come into contact with it makes the Frenzied Flame stand out as a force to be feared. One reason the Frenzied Flame is so powerful is because of its all-consuming nature. While other outer gods like the Greater Will focus on controlling or shaping the world, the Frenzied Flame aims to wipe everything away. Its ultimate goal is to burn the world to ashes, removing all life itself. This destructive intent puts it on a different level from its peers, as it doesn't just want to compete for dominance, it wants to erase the entire playing field. In the lands between, nothing escapes the influence of fire, and the Frenzied Flame takes this concept to the extreme. The Frenzied Flame's powers also lies in its ability to spread madness and chaos. Those who encounter its influence are driven insane, their minds overwhelmed by the sheer intensity of its purpose. This madness doesn't just affect individuals, it spreads like wildfire, consuming entire groups of people. The nomadic merchants are an example of this. Once a peaceful group, they were cursed by the Frenzied Flame, driving them into madness and turning them into vessels of its destructive will. The Flame's abilities to infect and corrupt makes it extremely dangerous, as it doesn't rely on physical strength alone to conquer the world. Another aspect of the Frenzied Flame's power is its ability to grant immense strength to its followers. While the other outer gods like the Greater Will have structured systems and hierarchies, the Frenzied Flame offers raw, unchecked power. Those who embrace the Frenzied Flame gains abilities tied to chaos and fire, allowing them to unleash devastation on a massive scale. However, this power comes at a terrible cost. Embracing the Frenzied Flame often means losing one's humanity and becoming an agent of destruction. The Lord of Frenzied Flame ending demonstrates this, as the Tarnished who chooses this path becomes the ultimate vessel of the flame, bringing ruin to the entire world. Midra is another example of this as well. Finally, the Frenzied Flame's strength lies in its appeal to those who are desperate or broken. The Lands Between is a world full of suffering and loss, and the Frenzied Flame offers an escape from the pain. Its message of ending everything can feel like a release to those who have nothing left. This emotional pull makes it powerful as it can recruit followers who have been rejected or cast aside by other systems like the Golden Order. In conclusion, the Frenzied Flame is one of the most powerful auto gods in Elden Ring because of its destructive purpose, ability to spread madness, and the raw power it grants its followers. Its ambition to reset the world by burning it all to nothingness sets it apart, making it a truly terrifying force. Now finally we have the Greater Will. Even though the Greater Will has abandoned the lands between, its power and influence remains unmatched among the auto gods. The absence of its direct intervention doesn't lessen its authority because the systems, followers, and powers it's left behind continues to shape the world. Unlike the other auto gods that rely on their active presence, the Greater Will has established a legacy so strong that it dominates the lands between even without being directly involved. The Golden Order is the clearest example of the Greater Will's lingering power, and the system tied to Elden Ring and the Erdtree defines the very fabric of the world. The laws of reality such as life, death, and the functions of souls were created under the Greater Will's guidance. Even after the shattering of the Elden Ring, the remnants of the Golden Order still dictates how the world works. Other auto gods like the Frenzied Flame or the Scarlet Rod influences small areas or individuals, but they haven't come close to replacing the Golden Order as the foundation of the lands between. The Greater Will's followers also ensures its powers remain. The Two Fingers, its most prominent messengers, continue to guide the Tarnished champions to restore the Elden Ring and uphold the Golden Order. Even without the Greater Will's direct presence, the Two Fingers acts as its voice, reminding the world of its authority. Figures like Queen Marika and her lineage were shaped by the Greater Will's teachings and powers. The demigods, though fractured and warring, owe their divine status and strength to the Greater Will's influence. No other auto god commands such a lasting, devoted network of followers. The physical symbols of the Greater Will's powers are another reason why it remains the most dominant auto god. The Erdtree is still a towering presence in the lands between, its golden glow serving as a constant reminder of the Greater Will's legacy. Its roots spread throughout the land, touching every aspect of life and death. The blessings granted by the Erdtree, such as the golden light used in incantations, are clear examples of the Greater Will's powers persisting even in its absence. Other auto gods like the Frenzied Flame thrive on chaos or destruction, but their influence is far more limited. In conclusion, the Greater Will remains the most powerful auto god because its influence persists through the systems, followers, and symbols it created. Even in its absence, the world still operates under its laws, and no other auto god has achieved such a far-reaching and lasting legacy. The Greater Will's power doesn't depend on its direct interference, it's woven into the very structure of the lands between.